A rivalry renewed. The Lone Star Showdown. Huge play right here. 4:30 to play. 4th and goal. And how about Ethan Burke, big old number 91 on the stop, and Amari Daniels to help Texas seal the victory 17-7 as they will now face Georgia in the SEC championship game. With the win, Texas's only loss this season was to Georgia in October. That was a home game. This will be a virtual road game for Texas, the game in Atlanta, where it will be pro Georgia for sure. 17-7. Shouts to Quintravion Wisner. He had 33 carries for 186 yards in this game. And the Texas defense giving up 0 zippy offensive points. They allowed just 244 total yards, 98 on the ground, and the Texas D getting it done on the road in College Station. Speaking of getting it done, CBS Sports HQ is built by the Home Depot. How doers get more done. Here with former Louisiana running back Emory Hunt. And Emory, first of all, this Texas defense was stifling. What'd you see?
Stifling defense, an attitude from Texas. And again, facing a mobile quarterback in Marcel Reed, they really shut down his ability to run the football, which subsequently allowed them to stop the running backs in running the football. So you saw a Texas defense that came into this ball game with it on his mind that, hey, we won't let this guy or this run game beat us. I thought this was the most impressive performance from a defense at Texas all season long. Because again, Hakeem, all we heard coming into this ball game, Texas ain't beat nobody. Who have they played? This is a big test. And we thought this would be a close game because of the Quinn Ewers injury. But defensively, they were challenged. They thought people would run up and down the field against Texas. Man, they answered the call in a huge way.
Did this change your opinion about Texas?
Yes, because preseason, Texas was my pick to win a national championship. And then once we saw them lose against Georgia, just get dominated up front, it was like, man, I don't know. Because at this time, we saw other teams having success around college football. But now, based on what we saw this weekend, or the last 2 weekends with all of the upsets, and what we saw today from this particular Texas team, if they play like this moving forward, and I was talking in a green room about this, Quinn Ewers has playoff experience. How many other quarterbacks can you say about that are projected to go into the postseason? Not many. Quinn Ewers is battle tested, and this defense looks like it's ready to go for a long run.
Texas's last 5 road games against AP, CFP ranked teams, 5-0. 5 straight such wins for the first time since 1981-85. Quintravion Wisner probably not going to show up in the highlight because didn't have a big splashy run or a big splashy touchdown, but 33 totes for 186 yards. What does he mean to that Texas offense?
This was the one element of the game, Hakeem, that looked like the old A&M Texas games we used to watch growing up, right? This was toting the rock. 33 carries in 2024. In today's world, like, that doesn't happen. And not only was he toting the rock 33 times, it was the 5.6 yards a carry. So that is paired with the offensive line and how well they were able to open up holes and how well he was able just to make that first guy miss. How many times we saw him run tonight where he's making a first guy miss or he's weaving his way through the trash of the front 7 and then he's finding 7 yards on the back end. So he did a great job of answering the phone when his number was called. 6 feet, 200 pounds, sophomore, was buried on the depth chart coming into the season. 3 backs get hurt. He stayed with it. He stayed locked in. He stayed ready to go. And they needed him today, and he stepped up in a huge way.
They allowed just 7 points in the game, and it was on a pick 6. So,
that was tipped.
Right. So you want to talk about a defensive effort and then the run game getting going as well. When you look at this Texas team, right, so their only loss this season was to Georgia. That was at home. It was 30-15. You remember there was fans throwing trash on the field. They didn't like a call that got overturned. Now they're going to Atlanta, where it will be a virtual home game for Georgia. What has changed about Texas and Georgia now? They met back in October. Here we are, first weekend of December.
Watching this game, Hakeem, and watching how Texas handled the moment, how Quinn Ewers handled the moment, knowing what we saw the last time these two teams played, how they didn't particularly handle that moment rather well, this might be the most mentally tough football team Georgia will face the second time around, Shalimar style. So I feel like this team, with where they are mentally going into this matchup, this rematch, they are more than apt to take on that pro-Georgia crowd in a hostile environment, in a win-and-go-in situation. You don't want to leave it up to chance. Who knows what the committee is thinking right now? If you lose to Georgia twice, they may say, hey, you're not ready to go into the postseason, so you got to go in there and take care of business. I think this team is mentally ready to go in there because they showed it in Kyle Field, in an adverse situation, a team you hadn't played in a decade plus.
Yep.
This team is ready to go.
So Texas into the SEC championship game against Georgia. That game will be played next Saturday, 4 Eastern time. Time now for the Doers Playbook, built by the Home Depot, how doers get more done, breaking down how a team's game plan leads to their success. So, Emory, which phase of the game was critical to the Texas victory?
The defense. And again, here's the reason why the defense was able to do that. Is because when you look at that play on 4th and goal, Texas A&M ran, right? They were beat by alignment. They had no outside threats. So Texas had read that pre-snap perfectly by saying, you know what? We're just going to crash down. We feel confident on our spill defense to chase the quarterback if he's going to go outside, but there's no outside threat. So what do? Just play the run. You see a guy pulling to try to lead on the outside, just follow him to the football, and he did exactly that. The interior defensive line for the Texas was not going to relent. So those outside edge rushers, all they had to do was just crash and go get the football, and he did exactly that. It was, great adjustments by Texas and just an oversight for Texas A&M. But Texas's defense, I thought, was a game changer here tonight.
First meeting between the rivals since 2011. The rivalry is renewed. There's a little scuffling on the sidelines between these two teams. We saw a lot of scuffling on this day, the final day of the regular season around college football. Some really, really good games, and we're going to break all that down coming up here on CBS Sports HQ, presented by the Home Depot. As you take a look at Texas's fewest points per game allowed in a season over the last 40 seasons, 11.7 points per game, an 11-1 record. Getting it done defensively, their first year in the SEC. Can they compete? Oh, yeah. They're into the SEC championship game next Saturday against Georgia.